Hey, it's Vicky, and I am back with another video that is part of what I'm calling Stephen King September. This kind of series I decided to do this month on my channel. I know it's also series September, but for me, it's also Stephen King September because, like I mentioned in my last video where I did the Stephen King book tag, I decided to do some Stephen King themed videos this month because later on this month, on the 21st of September, is Stephen King's 75th birthday. So I feel like that's kind of something to celebrate. And since he's one of my favorite authors, I wanted to do some Stephen King-centric videos. So this is the second video in that series, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite and least favorite Stephen King books. So let's dive in. So I decided to do this video like in a tops and bottoms sort of style, which is a wrap-up style that I've seen Leanne over at Literary Diversions do, and I love that style because she'll talk about a favorite read of the month and then a not so favorite read of the month. And I think that's a fun way to do this video as well. So I'm gonna start on a positive note and start with a top. And I'm gonna talk about Dolores Claiborne. This one is a favorite of mine because I loved the writing style. Stephen King decided to write this in a way that the main character, Dolores, is telling you her story. Well, she's telling her story to a police officer. And so in that way, you feel like you are also sitting in that room listening to her story. And Dolores was just such a fascinating character. She's a person that has some flaws, but also has been through a lot. And I just loved her as a character. She's one of those memorable Stephen King characters for me. And her and another character in this book, Vera Donovan, just are standouts to me. So this is just a great book about being a woman in a lot of ways, which is interesting because obviously Stephen King is not a woman, but he seemed to really grasp that concept writing this book, and I loved it. I've read this book twice. I actually just reread it this year, and it was still a 5-star read. I absolutely love it. Okay, now let's talk about a least favorite. This one was a 2-star read for me, and that is Firestarter. This one, I don't know what it was. The concept was kind of cool. It was about a little girl who had she had the gift of like being able to create fire with her mind, which sounds kind of cool. But the majority of the book, if I remember right, the government is after her. And her dad is trying to protect her or something like that. And for some reason that sounds exciting, but I was really bored by it. And I don't know, it's just one of those ones that I read it and it kind of didn't do anything for me. And so I probably will never reread it, but I'm glad I read it so that I can say I did. The next top that I have for you is Lisey's story. And this one, I've only read once, but I remember when I read it, I could not put it down. I was so hooked. And I think what made this so cool was it was about a married couple, and the husband dies. He's a writer and he dies, and his wife is grieving. And the book is very much about what it's like to be married to someone like a writer or an artist, someone that works in creative ways, and how different that is from someone who is not like that. And how a lot of times when you're married to someone like that, their craft is number one sometimes, and you feel like you take a back seat to their craft, their passion. And what it's like to be married to a person like that. And there was also a lot of other elements to this that I absolutely loved, but I don't want to say because it's spoilery, totally spoilery. But it gets into magical realism, and I loved that aspect. So loved it. So this was very much a love story for me, in a Stephen King way, the only way Stephen King could do it. And so I loved it. I really did. And I highly recommend it. The next bottom I have is Christine. This book, I went into it already not thrilled because it's about a haunted car, basically. And so I already went into it like, I don't really have an interest here, but I'm gonna read it. And yeah, it was not interesting to me. It all seemed sort of silly. And it was very long, if I remember right. It was like 400 or 500 pages, which to me, I'm like, how is this gonna go on for this long? A book about a haunted car. It just was not for me at all. That is one I will definitely not be rereading. Okay, and next favorite for me is The Dark Half. And this one I really loved because it's about a writer. And what I think made this so cool was it was about a writer who wrote under a pseudonym and decided to sort of kill off his pseudonym, which is also something that Stephen King did when he was writing as Richard Bachman. If you guys remember, he like killed him off. Except in this story, the pseudonym sort of takes on an actual physical human presence. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it is that this one I so enjoyed because of some of the horror elements in here were fantastic. And his like kind of alternate personality, if you want to call him that, his pseudonym, you know, which was like another version of him, right, was so devilish. He was so bad. He was a great villain, and I loved this story. I listened to this one on audio, highly recommend it. It was great. Okay, the next one that I have that is a least favorite was another 2-star read, and that was The Dead Zone. The Dead Zone was one of those ones that at first sort of did draw my interest in because it's about a guy who, I can't remember if he was in a car accident, something like that, and he's in a coma. He's in a coma for a few years, and when he wakes up, he has this supernatural gift, we'll just say. And what I didn't like about this was it gets very political because he, basically because of his gift, becomes aware of this politician who is not a good man. And yeah, he is trying to stop this guy from going on and becoming like a successful politician because he knows that he's a bad guy, basically. And it just seemed, I don't know, all of the political stuff in it just bored me. And it's one that, like I said, started out kind of strong, and then when it kind of started to take that turn, it just, I don't know, it just lost me. So again, this is another one I don't think I'll ever reread because the interest is just not there. Okay, and next favorite is Needful Things. And this one I loved because it was so fun. It's so dark, but it's also super fun because it's about a whole town, Castle Rock, which is a town that Stephen King has written quite a few stories about, but that basically this guy named Leland Gaunt shows up and he opens this shop called Needful Things. And this shop has exactly what you want. But the price that you have to pay to get that item is to play a prank on somebody else in the town. And so what ends up happening is the town it goes crazy. People start turning on each other. It gets very ugly, very violent, very messy. And I just loved it. I loved what it had to say about consumerism in general. Why are we so obsessed with things, with objects? Why do we hold such importance on things like that? And there was a particular scene in here that still haunts me. It was just so violent and disturbing, and it's a scene that will stick out in my mind and I will remember forever. So yeah, this, like I said, it's really dark, it's violent at times, but it's also kind of fun because you're just seeing things just unravel. And Leland Gaunt also was a great villain. Great name for a villain too. So yeah, highly recommend this one. Okay, another book of Stephen King's that I did not like was End of Watch, which was the third book in the, I don't even remember what trilogy it was called. Was it the Bill Hodges trilogy? I don't know. Okay, the reason I did not like this one was the trilogy started out strong. Mr. Mercedes was great. I really enjoyed that book because it's about a cop, Bill Hodges, and he's after this bad guy. We'll just do a quick summary. And so it's very like grounded in reality, right? This bad guy, he's a human being. He's just a bad human being. There's nothing special about him. But then in the third book, End of Watch, it takes a turn that I did not want, I did not like, And I hated that he went that way with the series. I wanted it to stay the way it was, and he went in a different direction with it, with the third book, and I hated it. So I gave it 2 stars. I didn't like it. I would recommend, though, the first book, Mr. Mercedes, is solid. Even the second one wasn't too bad, but I would say I didn't like the third one. Okay, my next top is going to be 11/22/63. And the reason I really liked this one and just flew through it was because I am one of those people who was really interested in JFK's presidency. I've read like his biographies and stuff, and of course I've also done a lot of reading up on his assassination. And so when I heard Stephen King was writing a book about JFK's assassination and this guy goes back in time to try to stop it, I was like, count me in, I already love it. And I did end up loving this. I loved how the way in which our main character goes back in time, and in that when he goes back in time, he has to spend quite a bit of time there. It's not like he's going back to November 22nd, 1963. He has to wait quite a while and create a life in the past. And I really loved that, and I loved those elements and the history, because for me the 60s is a time period in America that I am kind of obsessed with. I kind of love. So just seeing him living in that world, being a modern man, a man from, this day and age, going back to that time it was really good. And of course I also loved the sort of cautionary tale of it all about like the effects of messing with things that have happened in the past, how dangerous that can be. So I really loved this. It was great. And then my last bottom book I did not like by Stephen King. This is the only one I actually still own. That is Carrie. It's his first book, and I love the movie Carrie, Sissy Spacek version. So good. So well done. Everything about it, so good. The book, this is one of those books that, and I went into the book having seen the movie quite a few times, so I knew it was going to happen, right? Though it's a little bit different. The ending is a little bit different. And that's what I didn't like about this. It's one of those books that I think in the movie they make Carrie a lot more likable. In the book you don't really like her either. Nobody likes her, and you don't really like her either. At least that's how I felt, which I don't know if that's like a unpopular opinion, but that's just how I felt about Carrie. I didn't really root for Carrie. So when things started to happen with her and her gift, because if you don't know what Carrie's about, it's about a girl who has telekinetic powers, and she gets bullied and is basically disliked by everyone, not only in her school, but like in her town. Everybody just shuns her. And so when things when she starts to do things, I don't really sympathize with her. I'm just like, I don't know. It just left me feeling very icky all over. It just was a very dark book, and I don't know. I didn't like it. So again, this is one that I might try to reread, but I'm not sure. That's why I still have it, because I'm kind of like, I might try it again. I don't know. We'll see. So I bet you're wondering, Vicky, you're talking about your favorite Stephen King books, and you did not mention It or The Stand, because these are my top 2 favorite Stephen King books. But the reason I didn't include them in this video was because I feel like everybody includes these 2 books in their favorites, usually. One or the other, or both. And I feel like I talk about these 2 enough when I talk about Stephen King favorites, that I was like, I want to talk about favorites that maybe are a little bit more underhyped or unknown, ones that a couple of them I've actually just read recently. So I really think I just wanted to kind of like, it's already known that those are a favorite, and I wanted to talk about ones that maybe I don't talk about as much. And I should also note before saying goodbye that, I have read over 50 Stephen King books, but I still have quite a few I haven't read, so this list could definitely change as time goes on. I definitely could find new favorites, and find more that I don't like, so we shall see. But these are the ones that right now on this day I wanted to mention as, ones I really enjoyed and ones I didn't so much. Oh, I obviously love The Stand. I obviously love it. You know this. But that's why I didn't want to talk about them here. All right, so that is it, guys. These are my tops and bottoms, Stephen King style. Please let me know down below, what is your favorite Stephen King book and your least favorite Stephen King book? Because I would love to know. And that's it. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I will talk with you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.